Hello again and good day, everybody. Welcome back to another session of Helping Me, where we learn C together. Okay, and we're still on loops and conditions. We're going to have one more video on loops and conditions, and after that, I will show you guys a video on how to solve a problem using what we've learned. All right, this session I'm going to be teaching you guys about loops. 4 loops to be more specific. All right, let's get started. All right, we're going to make a new project as usual. By this point, you're going to have a few projects in here. Sorry about that. For loop. I name it for loop. Okay. And I'm going to assign some variables and explain to you guys the for loop. Basically, what a for loop does, it iterates through a loop a certain amount of times. So unlike a while, where a while could go indefinitely until you specify that you want it to end, a for loop on creation will have an endpoint in mind. It's usually used to move through lists and pull data, or kind of like if you would like to add X amount of numbers, you can kind of loop through them, adding them one by one with a for loop, things like that. But other than being initialized with a endpoint in mind, that will be the only real difference from a while loop. Okay. All right, so our variable, we're just going to keep it the same as always. Variable number equals 7. Okay. All right, for our for loop example, starting a for loop, we start with the word for and followed by brackets. Okay, now we get a little bit more complicated on our for loop when it comes to declaring it. When we declare a for loop, we have to declare it in 3 parts. Basically, how that goes is we're going to declare a starting point. So this would be your starting point, and that would be usually an integer starting at 0 or whatever point of the list or whatever number you would like to start from, and continue to iterate from that point. So it would be a start point followed by a semicolon, and this would be your condition as to how long you want it to go. So say, for instance, our starting point was 5. We would then take our starting point. I'm going to put SP for starting point. We're going to do our starting point. And if we wanted it to run until our starting point was the value of 10, we would go and want this loop to run. Oh, shoot. Not that. All right, we want our loop to run until SP is not less than 10. So this would mean that SP would be iterating as many times as it took for our starting point to not be less than 10. And then that's followed by a semicolon as well. And on our last section of declaring, we declare how we would like our starting point to increment. And I don't know if you remember, but on the last video, I showed you a better way to increment rather than doing the plus equals, rather than doing this. It's more likely to use our other way of plus plus on this method. That's an incrementation of 1, unless you would like to increment by 2 or a higher number, then plus equals is fine. So for this instance, it would be SP plus plus. SP plus plus. So basically how this reads, okay, for this starting point, until our starting point is not less than 10 anymore, we want you to keep increasing the starting point by 1 for each iteration. And that's basically how that goes. So let's put some real variables in here so you can see how it actually looks. Okay, for our integer I equals 0. So we're declaring an integer and setting it to 0 here. We want I to loop through until it is not less than 10 anymore. And we want I to increment by 1. And then put our brackets. So basically, until I becomes 10, this loop is going to go on. And we're going to write to our console here. And just to see the count, I will put this variable here into our print method. So it'll print out each number that's counted along its way. And let's run that, Control F5. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that. I wish there was a way to zoom into this, but I can't. Yeah, it still doesn't help. Well, it goes from 0 to 9, which is 10 numbers. Okay. Now, let's throw our variable we declared earlier into the mix. We're going to leave this I count here. And I'm going to show you guys a new keyword we can use as well. Okay, so we're going to throw an if statement in here. So if our number is equal to I, so when I becomes 7 and it's equal to our number, we want this to execute. We want it to continue. Now, what continue means is basically once it sees this if statement and moves through its what it wants it to do, continue means that we're going to skip this iteration. So once it gets here, it would skip. But I don't know if that would affect this right line. Let's check that out before I write a comment. So it should skip 7. Let's see. Yep. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Skip the 7, just as we thought. So yeah, it completely breaks out of that I equals 7 loop and moves to the next loop with this continue statement. If it were a break statement, it would completely break out of our for loop and return to the main method, which would be nothing. So it would end the program. I'll let you guys see that too. Break, Control F5. At 6, it broke and ended the program for us. All right. Let's turn that back to continue. And we're going to skips and iteration for that if statement. Okay. And these are the basics of your average for loop. And like I said, we could change our incrementation over here. We can do plus equals 2. So now for each loop, it would increase by 2, and we would never get this if statement to go through because it will go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Now let's see that. Control F5. See 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And you can put whatever number there you want it to increment by. But this will be your basic for loop right here. And just to show that we can kind of do more with this, we can I'll show you how to add with it. So instead of we're just writing a line here, let's do I plus number. This way we get 7 increased by I for each iteration. Let's see what that gives us. Control F5. We got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just as you expect. Okay. that's pretty much it for for loops. Not much there, but we will be combining what we have learned for later. All right, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and have a great day. Hope to see you next time.